How many people ask the FBI to investigate something that they made up? The answer is zero, because it's not a thing. Dyze in your house. Exclusively on East Coast Radio.
Representing Staten Island.
One goal for the next 2 months, one goal for 2018, and that's to take back the House. And we're only going to do that by going out and voting. I mean, I know the civil rights movement didn't exactly end racism, but I thought we were further along from this. It's a known fact that the reason I don't have any friends is solely because I'm a liberal who cares about other people and doesn't want to see brown people and women suffer at the hands of old, rich, white men who have been in power for way too long. Nazis? Bad. Free press? Good. The most dangerous thing you can do is sit back and think that America has no chance of ever turning into an autocracy or some sort of authoritarian regime when you have a fascist regime on the rise right now, unchecked by Congress, which makes November the most important election of our lives. J Pork's East Coast Radio, Dyze in your house, J Pork's podcast. We must resist or we won't exist. Taking it back in November. East Coast Radio for the least heard voices.
Representing Staten Island.
Hey yo, who's in the house? Dyze in your house. What is the word, peeps? What goes on? It is Friday. It is the evening. I am Jay Porks. We are back here on East Coast Radio with another action-packed edition of Dyze in your house. It is the pre-show, the post-show, the prelude to the J Porks podcast, where every Monday we come to you for about 90 minutes and we break down all of the failures in our justice system, all of the we try to save democracy is the short answer to this. We have one goal till November, and that's to focus on voting these people out of office and getting a real check on the executive office, and then removing this dangerous orange despot wannabe cunt monkey from said office, and throwing all his children in jail, and throwing all of his associates in jail, and making sure that he's poor for the rest of his life. What goes on, peeps? Okay. I'm a little under the weather, so just deal with me for a second. This is a real pre-show here, because I'm coming to you on Monday with a lot of action stuff, a lot of action-packed stuff. Mueller investigation, getting hot. Flynn's gonna get sentenced 2 days after my birthday. Manafort has flipped. Michael Cohen has finally found a listener to his stories, and that's several investigations into Trump and the Trump organization. But today we are going to focus on a very serious matter. A very serious matter that really snowballed since the last time I came to you on East Coast Radio for the least heard voices. And you want to keep it locked to everything East Coast Radio, you go to patreon.com/JPorks to become a East Coast Radio head. East Coast Radio for the least heard voices. So, something serious. The Supreme Court is serious. Supreme Court is a serious thing. It is the highest court in the land. Everything that gets appealed after appealed after appealed, the final frontier, as they say, is the Supreme Court. 9 judges who sit on the Supreme Court, and they decide all of the outcomes of all these major cases, including anything that's going to happen with subpoenas of Trump and Pence and all that stuff. That's all going to go to the Supreme Court. So Brett Kavanaugh, a guy that doesn't believe that presidents should be investigated, the guy that recommended Rob Porter for the job, the guy that was in on stealing the emails from the Judiciary Committee of the Democrats a couple of years ago, this guy that was involved with torture in the Bush White House, this guy who mysteriously had hundreds of thousands of dollars of gambling debts just wiped away as soon as he was going to be named to the Supreme Court. So I gave you a bunch of disqualifying reasons why Brett Kavanaugh shouldn't be on the Supreme Court. The fact that there needs to be a hearing for Dr. Ford's allegations means that Me Too has not gone far enough, and the time is not up. The way in which you watch old white men behave. This is the Republican side of the Judiciary Committee. The Senate Judiciary Committee. The way in which they behave. Oh, well, these allegations are from 36 years ago. Like, you say that, and then you wonder why women don't report their sexual assaults. Because it's going to be, oh, how many years did that happen? Did you call the cops while he was inside of you? Now, step back. Brett Kavanaugh is not being accused of actual rape. It's attempted rape. It's 2018, and that's not a thing anymore. So, I don't care if you were 17, 37, 57, 77. In 2018, if you want to be gropey, if you want to force yourself on women, you get exiled from your career, you get exiled from life, even if you didn't break any laws. And you most certainly should be exiled from the Supreme Court to sit on the highest court in the land. He's covering up a girl's mouth when she's trying to scream for help at a college party at Georgetown Prep. And the only witness is a guy named Mark Judge. Mark Judge wrote a book called Wasted. And it talks about how he spent his formative years in high school and college, his teenage years, getting blackout drunk and waking up and not remembering how he got places. That was Brett Kavanaugh's running buddy. Now, Dr. Ford says that Mark Judge wasn't involved in the touching, but he was there. And it's funny because the second after these allegations came out, Orrin Hatch or somebody, Grassley, these freaking guys, term limits, please. They came out with like a letter signed by 66 women who know Brett Kavanaugh, who can, throughout his life, who can attest to him being an upstanding and fine individual. That's cool, but he went to an all-boys school, and he's married now. How many women can there be? And it's weird how, bang, we got a letter here. Let's have these women. Let's call them up to testify. Why the FBI is not investigating this? Why? The FBI doesn't do investigations like that? FBI did that with Anita Hill. Don't mind me if I'm just repeating everything Maddow said this week. But Maddow was spot on. The hypocrisy. And Joe Biden looks bad. You go back, watch the Anita Hill hearings. Looks really bad for Joe Biden. That's not holding up well. And none of those questions are holding up well. And that was just harassment. And that cost Clarence Thomas, I think, 40 votes. Now, it's September 21st. To say that the Democrats are using Christine Blasey Ford's accusation as a way to try to hold things up is not accurate. I listed the reasons why Democrats want to hold this up. I listed the disqualifying reasons. This is different. This is Me Too. This is Time's Up. Gone. Exiled from society. No standing ovations. No Louis C.K. freaking comebacks. None of that. You're done. And furthermore, I'm a guy. I'm on this podcast. I got a microphone. People can hear me. So maybe people might think that I'm putting on some sort of show, and I really feel like this is no big deal. Well, tell you something. Run into me in real life, and you secretly tell me, you say, hey Jay, let me tell you about this. And then you tell me a story about how you sexually assaulted some chick. And watch how fast you get punched, and watch how fast I call the appropriate authorities. Oh, Jay, you're inciting, you're promoting violence. No, I'm not. I'm promoting violence against people that force themselves on women. Not really that much violence, just a punch. Because Brett Kavanaugh looks like somebody who's never been punched in the face before. And I never thought I'd say, I've been saying this a lot this year. It's like Eminem said. You don't know what he had an interview with Sway about kamikaze. He was talking about how you don't really, you're scared about getting punched in the face. You don't know what getting punched in the face is until you get punched in the face. And maybe if Brett Kavanaugh would have got punched in the face, he would have learned some respect. And listen, it's one thing to say, I don't recall that happening. But I don't know of anybody. How many people have had to categorically and unequivocally deny things? When people use categorically and unequivocally, it just makes me think that they're not telling the truth. It just makes me think they're less truthful. To say that he wasn't at the party, he definitely didn't do it. You could just be like, listen, and it's not acceptable. If he would have said, oh, well, I was young and stupid, not acceptable. It's still still get him off the court. He needs to be off the court anyway because we don't know how the gambling debts got paid off. There's a lot of strings to Brett Kavanaugh. You just have to pull on it. And I, for one, believe Christine Blasey Ford, and I'm glad that Dr. Ford came forward. And we need, listen, I would say we need more people to come forward and put guys in their place, but when people come forward, they get questioned, oh, was this real? Why didn't their parents tell? Why didn't they take care of this 36 years ago? Well, maybe they were traumatized. Like what happens when you get assaulted by a man. Someone who's a little bigger than you. Someone who's a year older than you. Someone who you may have respected because you attended a party they were at. Brett Kavanaugh was a member of a club in prep school called Tits and Clits. Not kidding. It's short for Truth and Courage, but Tits and Clits. Classy guy. And just think about taking Dr. Ford into a room when she was 17 and he was 18. Forcing himself on her, trying to take her clothes off. When she tries to scream, covering her mouth. And now remember that Brett Kavanaugh coaches his daughter's basketball team. They look like teenagers. Yeah. Think he's coaching Catholic style? He might be. So, when women we have to do a roll call here for all the idiots. And again, I'm not sitting here as a man, the first thing to say is, well, not all guys. No, fuck that. It is. And they deserve to be shunned from society. So just think about the kind of person this is. You know, they say that Brett Kavanaugh hires, like, the women who work in his office, he hires a certain look. Very misogynistic. Besides the fact that he wouldn't give assurances on Roe v. Wade. This is more disqualifying features. Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, they're not pro-women's health anymore. They don't care. They're not interested in women being healthy anymore. They're done. They're done with that. They just want to get conservative on the Supreme Court. And listen, when there is an accusation like this, it needs to be taken seriously. And I know of one agency that takes investigations seriously, that takes getting to the bottom of things seriously, and that would be the FBI. So why Chuck Grassley and the Judiciary Committee have not directed the FBI to do a background check to follow up on this? And listen. Nobody's saying that get Robert Mueller to do the investigation. The FBI investigation would take maybe a day or two. There's not that many people to run down. There's not a whole list of people at this party. 10 hours of questions? The Republicans can't wait. They're still going to have their majority. But now, as I just got an alert that started with Senate Judiciary Committee, so I'm going to read it right now. No, I'm sorry. Senate panel chairman threatens Kavanaugh vote on Monday if accuser does not respond by 10 p.m. So now we're bullying the sexual assault victim. Chuck Grassley was on the committee along with Orrin Hatch when they were questioning Anita Hill. That was in 1991. Why do we not have term limits? How are these people who have Parkinson's shakes up on there who can't string a thought together? And I'm sorry, Dianne Feinstein. I love you, Dianne Feinstein. But, like, could you not be the chair, like the ranking member? Because when you talk like an old lady who's shaking and can't remember her words, and and like, you know what I'm saying? And that doesn't make us look good. It takes to the end of the day to get to Sheldon Whitehouse and Kamala Harris. Listen, we need term limits. And there needs to be an age limit. We need people that are in touch with the majority of Americans. And the majority of Americans are not senior citizens. The majority of Americans are below senior citizens and above teenagers. Those are the people that pay taxes and vote. Those are the people that work, and those are the people that you need to be in touch with. And at a whole Senate Judiciary Committee, Republicans and Democrats, it's like 3-4 people on there that actually, you know, I don't look at it and say, wow, politics is for dinosaurs and chicken heads. I don't know what the chicken heads thing was. I'm like, what is going on here? My computer keeps... Sorry about that, guys. I don't know what's going on with my computer. It's skipping a little bit. Having problems here, but... Either way. So for Chuck Grassley to threaten, if he doesn't hear back from by Dr. Ford by 10 p.m., he's going to hold the vote. Listen, man. If the Republicans want to hold the vote, and... You know what I'm saying? They have the majority. Now remember, you don't need 60 anymore. Used to be 60 votes for a Supreme Court justice. Actually, there was a lot of things that there was 60 votes for. Now, they've changed the Senate rules to the nuclear option. So that means the Republicans can win 51 to 49. Just like that. They don't need any... The Democrats could not show up. And the Republicans would still get to put Brett Kavanaugh on the Supreme Court. Cool story, bro. You will pay for that in November. Because you have thousands and thousands. You have countless. It's countless. You have countless women across America watching this, saying, me too. That happened to me too. And now they're watching Senator Grassley say things like, oh, if she doesn't reply by 10 p.m., we're holding the vote. You see how that looks on your women voters. I mean, I don't know if Republicans are looking to just burn down the whole house. But I mean, they've alienated almost everybody here. Christine Blasey Ford doesn't want to be in the same room as Brett Kavanaugh, and she also wants Brett Kavanaugh to talk first. I don't understand why that is such a big deal. Like, first of all, she asked the FBI to investigate it. I don't know how many people go to the FBI and ask for investigations into things that they're making up, okay? So let's just get that out of the way. Okay. So, keep it locked, Least Coast Radio, for the least heard voices. And we are going to keep you posted on all things SCOTUS, Brett Kavanaugh. We are definitely going to have more news on this on Monday on the Jay Porks podcast. So keep it locked to Least Coast Radio for the least heard voices. Jay Porks. Dyze in your house. Jay Porks here. And I know I've been a little busy on this Least Coast Radio stuff. Talking about resist, remove, and recreational. But I gotta tell you about one more thing. You should be a Least Coast Radiohead. That's right. And you can become a Least Coast Radiohead just by going to patreon.com/JPorks and check out the offers we have there. There's a low tier, a middle tier, and a high tier. All of those get you bonus content, exclusive personalized artwork, and even a chance to interact with me on a personal level over the phone. We could talk about what's going on in this podcast. We could talk about how we are going to flip these seats blue in November. And we are going to vote like this is our final election, because it might be. Patreon.com/JPorks. Become a Least Coast Radiohead and join the resistance.